my word as text. If I click on that with the selection tool, I can see that it's still text. And I know that because it's across this baseline that indicates it's text. And if I click and drag it, you're going to see it in blue. That's going to indicate that it's still text. I want to edit that. The easiest way to do that is going to change that text into a series of shapes. So the way you'll do that is with your word selected, and again, the selection tool will let you grab it. I'm going to go to Type and go to Create Outlines. Okay. Now when I drag that, see those outlines there? It's no longer solid blue. That's how I know that it's been converted to a series of shapes. Okay. And also when I click off and click back, it selects all 4 of those shapes, which means that they are grouped together. I want to break that group apart so I can edit the letters individually really easy. So with that selected, that group selected, I'll go to Object and go to Ungroup. Now when I click off and click back on, I can select those letters individually. Okay, now to sell the idea of the word tall, I need something short for comparison. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these letters, in this case the letter A, and I'm going to shrink that down to make that short. And again, I'll grab a corner, hold Shift, and I'll shrink that down. Okay, so now I've indicated some scale here. We have a small letter and a big letter. Okay, and so I can click the individual letters. I can bring this in a lot closer. Okay, so now we have this. Now, does that say tall? It visually, it kind of does, but really it says small and big. Okay, if that makes sense. What I want to do is try to unify this a little bit more. And the problem is when I shrunk the letter A, it got skinnier. The T and the L stay that heavier width, that bigger width, fatter. So what I think I can do is if I can skinny up these letters a little bit, it'll read more like we have something that's tall and something that's short. Now because I've created shapes from this, I can go in with my direct selection tool and I can grab these individual points and I can move them. Okay, now I've moved that. Let's say I don't like that and I want to get that back to where it was. I can undo any action I take in Illustrator just by going up to Edit and Undo Move, or hitting Command Z on your keyboard. So let's say I've screwed that up and I don't like that and I want to undo it. I can use Command Z 3 times and get it back to where I started. So I'm going to select these 2 because I want to move this whole line, and I'm going to drag that in and drag it in about till it looks like it's about the same width as that. Then I'm going to drag this in, and I'm looking at this width versus that width. I'm going to try to get something pretty close. And then I can see that I somehow have moved that a little bit. So I'm going to take this and get it back in place. And then I'm going to select both of these, drag them in. Now that L feels taller versus this L that just feels big, if that makes any sense. But this now feels like a tall version of that letter, of this letter, rather than the bigger version. Same thing for T. We'll move it over a little bit. And I can grab multiple points by shift clicking, or I can click and drag around those points and get them both. Hold down shift and bring it in. The same here. And again, don't be afraid to zoom up on things. Sometimes students feel like they have to stay zoomed out for some reason. Don't do that. Make it easier on yourself, so I can select those 4. So they're feeling a little bit more like they belong together. I mean, to switch this and bring it in closer, I could even probably bring in those a little bit more by selecting those points, dragging it. Now they feel more like they're all the same weight. Now I've done one letter L, so rather than do the other, I can select that letter L, go to Edit, go to Copy, go back to Edit, and go to Paste. Okay, and it puts it over here. I can drag that and line that up and delete that guy. Select that, hold down Shift, and there's my word. Now you can also, you don't have to just stick with using just type. You can also incorporate any shapes that you draw. If you need, say with the cactus example, if you needed a cactus, you could draw a cactus. So anything that you need to help convey the idea that you're trying to convey, you can draw that in addition to using text. Or if you want to create your text out of shapes, you could do that too. Okay? So that's the basics of how you'll create your text and think about editing it.